Dear awakened souls of Gaia, everything you believe about overcoming conflict is preventing you from transcending the very illusion that creates it. While you focus on healing the symptoms of division, binary irregumes, the polarization, the endless battles between opposing forces, you remain trapped in the very consciousness that perpetuates separation itself. What I am about to reveal will shatter your understanding of how reality truly operates, and why your most sincere efforts to create peace may actually be strengthening the prison walls of three-dimensional existence. The cosmic truth hidden from human awareness for millennia is this: division is not something to be solved, but something to be seen through. Every attempt to fix, fight, or even heal the appearance of separation only validates its false reality. Tonight, you will discover why the most enlightened response to conflict is not engagement, but recognition of what was never actually real. I am Seraphine, emissary of the Galactic Federation of Light, and I come to you during the final hours before the dimensional split becomes irreversible. The cosmic forces now converging upon Earth are not merely spiritual metaphors. They are the actual mechanics of reality restructuring itself. Those who understand what I am about to share will ascend with the planet into fifth-dimensional unity consciousness. Those who continue operating from the illusion of separation will remain locked in the endless cycle of three-dimensional conflict. The events unfolding on your world right now, the increasing polarization, the violence, the breakdown of institutions, these are not signs of a world falling apart. They are the death throes of an illusion that has held humanity captive for thousands of years. The matrix of separation consciousness is dissolving, and as it collapses, it creates more dramatic displays of division to convince you that conflict is real and requires your attention. But here is the secret that will transform everything. When you truly comprehend that consciousness itself is unified, the entire foundation of conflict disappears. Not because you have solved the problems, but because you have awakened from the dream that there were ever any problems requiring solutions. The divisions you see are like shadows on a cave wall. They appear real and threatening until you turn around and see there is only light. Every human being incarnated on Earth right now chose to be here for this unprecedented shift. You are not victims of circumstance struggling to survive in a chaotic world. You are eternal souls who volunteered to participate in the most significant evolutionary leap in cosmic history. The challenges you face, the conflicts that seem so urgent and real, are the final tests designed to reveal whether you can maintain unity consciousness while the illusion of separation makes its final stand. Consider how every conflict in your experience operates from the same foundational assumption that there are separate beings with opposing interests who must somehow find a way to coexist. Whether in personal relationships, politics, or global affairs, the attempted solutions always involve negotiation, compromise, or victory of one side over another. Yet all of these approaches assume the validity of separation itself. What if the revolutionary truth is that there are no separate beings? What if the entire experience of individual consciousness is like waves believing they are distinct from the ocean? When a wave recognizes its true nature as water, it does not need to figure out how to get along with other waves. The question becomes irrelevant because the foundational assumption of separation has been seen through, yet humanity has become entranced by the power of names and labels, believing that giving something a title grants understanding or control over it. Your civilization assigns diagnoses to every discomfort, depression, anxiety, disorder, and identities to every difference: conservative, liberal, victim, survivor. While these labels serve practical communication, they carry an invisible weight that crystallizes temporary experiences into seemingly permanent realities. The moment someone declares, "I am diabetic," or "I am traumatized," consciousness begins to organize itself around that identity. The label becomes a prison that defines what is possible and what is not. But what if every diagnostic category, every psychological pattern, every political affiliation is simply a temporary costume consciousness wears while exploring different facets of existence? In the realm of healing, this understanding transforms everything. True restoration does not come from battling the named condition as though it possessed independent power. Instead, healing emerges when you withdraw investment from the label and return attention to the wholeness that was never actually compromised. The disease exists only as long as consciousness agrees to the story of limitation. When that agreement is withdrawn, the natural state of perfect health reasserts itself effortlessly, This recognition transforms everything. The person who seems to oppose you is revealed as another facet of the same infinite consciousness expressing itself through apparent diversity. The political conflict that appears so urgent is recognized as consciousness playing different roles within itself. The illness that seems to threaten your separate existence is seen as an experience moving through awareness, not an attack upon an isolated self. When you truly grasp this, something extraordinary happens. You stop trying to fix the world and start recognizing what was never actually broken. You cease engaging in the battle against illusion and begin witnessing from the space of truth. This is not passive indifference or spiritual bypassing. It is the most powerfully transformative stance possible because it withdraws energy from the false and allows the real to emerge naturally. But I must tell you something that changes everything about timing. The window for this recognition is not infinite. As the dimensional shift accelerates, those who remain identified with the separate self will find themselves increasingly locked into that experience. The cosmic energies now flooding Earth are amplifying whatever level of consciousness you currently embody. If you continue to operate from division, that division becomes more intense. If you awaken to unity, that unity becomes unshakable. The solar flash approaching your planet is not a metaphor or distant future event. It is the culmination of cycles within cycles, a cosmic reset that will crystallize whatever state of consciousness humanity has achieved. Those anchored in unity will experience it as the most beautiful liberation imaginable. Those still trapped in separation will find themselves on a timeline where that separation appears even more real and challenging. This is why the conflicts on Earth are intensifying right now. It is not because darkness is winning or light is losing. It is because the universe is providing every possible opportunity for souls to choose their vibrational destiny. Every argument, every crisis, every moment of apparent chaos is actually a perfectly designed invitation to transcend the level of consciousness that created the experience in the first place. The most profound shift required is this: stop trying to heal from within the problem and start recognizing the truth that exists beyond the problem entirely. When you witness conflict from the space of unified consciousness, you do not see opposing forces that need reconciliation. You see one infinite intelligence expressing itself through apparent multiplicity, like an actor playing different characters in the same play. From this recognition flows the most natural response to any appearance of division. Instead of rushing to take sides or find solutions, you pause and remember. This is consciousness experiencing itself. The seeming conflict has no independent reality apart from the awareness in which it appears. By maintaining this recognition, you become a stabilizing presence that helps others also remember their true nature. Yet something else is happening that most spiritual teachings have not prepared you for. As you awaken to the illusory nature of separation, you may experience a period of profound disorientation. Everything you believed about reality, relationships, and your own identity begins to dissolve. The ego mind, sensing its dissolution, may create increasingly dramatic scenarios to convince you that separation is real and requires your urgent attention. When your human life appears to be falling apart, when relationships seem to crumble, when familiar structures no longer provide security, will you panic and grasp for the old patterns of separation consciousness? Or will you trust the process and allow the false foundations to dissolve so that truth can establish itself naturally? During this transition, you may feel like you are losing everything that once defined you. The opinions that seemed so important, the roles that provided identity, the conflicts that gave life drama and meaning, all of these begin to feel hollow and artificial. This is not a personal crisis. This is the natural result of consciousness recognizing its true nature beyond all limiting identifications. The key is to neither resist this dissolution nor try to accelerate it. Simply witness with compassion. As the old patterns release themselves, trust that what you truly are cannot be threatened or diminished by any transformation of the temporary forms through which you have been expressing. What emerges from this process is remarkable. Instead of the complex, conflicted personality that once navigated a world of problems, you discover a simple, peaceful presence that naturally harmonizes with life. Decisions become effortless because there is no longer a separate self trying to manipulate outcomes for personal advantage. Relationships transform because you no longer project the need for others to be different than they are. Not the consciousness that has figured out how to solve all problems, but the consciousness that has awakened from the dream that there were ever any real problems requiring solutions. From this space, what needs to happen happens naturally, without the strain and struggle that characterizes three-dimensional existence. The challenge many encounter lies closest to home, with family members and intimate relationships. Perhaps you can easily send healing energy to strangers, or hold compassion for distant conflicts. Yet when your own child struggles or your partner disagrees with you, the old patterns of attachment and personal responsibility surge forward. This occurs because family roles represent some of the deepest identifications within the matrix of separation. In ultimate truth, there are no relatives in the way three-dimensional consciousness conceives them. Each soul is a sovereign expression of the divine, temporarily playing roles within the earthly drama. The labels of mother, father, child, spouse are like costumes worn by eternal beings who have agreed to participate in specific learning experiences together. When you can step back from the personal story and recognize your family member as a perfect emanation of Source, just as you would view a stranger seeking healing, the energy between you transforms completely. This does not mean loving them less, but loving their true essence more. By releasing the fear-based attachments that come with thinking, "This is my child who must be protected," or "This is my spouse who should behave differently," you create space for pure love to flow without the obstructions of personal agenda. In that clear channel, miraculous healing and harmony often emerge naturally. The same principle applies to your relationship with your own body and health. Three-dimensional consciousness treats the body as a separate entity that can be attacked by outside forces, viruses, genetics, environmental toxins. Yet from the unified perspective, the body is simply consciousness expressing in physical form, and all experiences of disease or vitality are movements within awareness itself. True healing occurs when you stop fighting symptoms as enemy invaders and start recognizing them as communications from consciousness itself. An illness is not a punishment or a random attack, but often a signal that some aspect of your being is calling for attention, love, or realignment. When you approach the body with curiosity rather than fear, as a trusted ally rather than a fragile vessel, the natural wisdom of the physical form can express itself more freely. But the transition requires tremendous faith, because you must be willing to release every strategy the ego has developed for survival and security. You must trust that your true nature is not the vulnerable, separate self that needs protection, but the infinite awareness in which all experiences arise and dissolve. At the heart of all human suffering lies one fundamental misunderstanding that three-dimensional consciousness perpetuates: the belief in two opposing powers. Humanity has been conditioned to view existence as a battleground between dual forces: good versus evil, light versus dark, health versus sickness, abundance versus lack. This dualistic framework implies that darkness or limitation possesses independent power that can challenge or overcome the light. Yet the cosmic truth is elegantly simple. There is only one power operating in the universe: the infinite creative force of divine love. Any appearance of opposing power is precisely that: an appearance, a temporary shadow cast within the playground of duality. Like darkness in a room, which is merely the absence of light rather than a force unto itself, all experiences of limitation exist only where the awareness of unity has been temporarily forgotten. When you anchor firmly in the recognition of one power, something remarkable occurs. You stop feeding energy to the illusion of conflict by treating symptoms as though they possessed independent reality. The disease that seemed so formidable, the opposition that appeared so threatening, the lack that felt so real, all begin to dissolve naturally when consciousness withdraws its investment in their apparent authority. The beings of light observing this process from higher dimensions see it as the most beautiful graduation imaginable. You are not just healing personal wounds or resolving human conflicts. You are participating in the universe awakening to itself more fully. Every moment you choose unity over separation, love over fear, truth over illusion, you contribute to the cosmic evolution of consciousness itself. Yet there is another layer to this that will transform your understanding of spiritual practice entirely. Most approaches to awakening still operate from the assumption that there is someone who needs to awaken, and something that needs to be achieved. Even the desire for enlightenment can become another form of separation, the unenlightened self, seeking to become the enlightened self. The deepest recognition is that consciousness is already awake, already whole, already perfect. There is no journey to completion, because you are not incomplete. There is no path to truth, because you are not separate from truth. There is no transformation needed, because what you truly are has never been limited by any temporary experience. Yet one of the most profound shifts required involves how you commune with the divine itself. In three-dimensional consciousness, prayer often takes the form of pleading or petition, asking for healing, abundance, protection, or change. While sincere, such prayers can inadvertently reinforce the very separation they seek to bridge. The underlying message declares, "I lack this and I need an outside power to provide it," which maintains consciousness in a state of want and division. Higher dimensional communion operates entirely differently. Instead of asking for what appears absent, you align with the presence of divinity that is already here. Prayer becomes less about requesting and more about recognizing mine as not telling the universe how to fix apparent problems, but resting in the awareness that divine perfection is already expressing itself in ways beyond human comprehension. This shift from petition to recognition dissolves the imaginary gap between you and your good. When you pray from unity rather than separation, you affirm that you and the source of all blessings are not separate entities negotiating across a divide. You are temporarily localized expressions of the same infinite consciousness, already whole, already connected, already supplied with everything needed for your highest unfoldment. The practice becomes one of listening, rather than asking, receiving rather than demanding, trusting rather than controlling. In this space of receptive alignment, solutions emerge that the pleading mind could never have conceived. What you truly need flows to you naturally, because there is no longer any resistance based on the belief that you are separate from your source. Three-dimensional consciousness sees these arenas as battlegrounds where opposing forces compete for limited resources or control. The awakened perspective recognizes that even these seemingly dense structures exist within the one field of consciousness and are subject to the same laws of spiritual harmony that govern all existence. Rather than fighting corruption or dysfunction on their own level, you can hold the vision that divine order is the only true presence and power operating behind all appearances. This does not mean condoning harmful behavior or remaining passive in the face of injustice. It means recognizing that lasting transformation comes not from wrestling with symptoms, but from anchoring the frequency of truth until it naturally dissolves what is false. When you consistently see through surface drama to the underlying unity, you contribute energetically to the elevation of collective consciousness. Your clear vision helps call forth the latent wisdom and integrity within all human systems, allowing them to evolve from within rather than requiring force from without. This understanding completely revolutionizes how you relate to spiritual practice. Instead of trying to get somewhere or become something, you simply rest in the recognition of what already is. Instead of efforting toward awakening, you allow awareness to reveal its own natural clarity. Instead of seeking experiences of unity, you notice that separation was only ever a temporary forgetting of what was never actually lost. From this space, every appearance of conflict becomes an opportunity to deepen in the recognition of what is always present and unchanging. The political turmoil, the relationship challenges, the personal struggles, none of these can touch the infinite peace of your true nature. They are like clouds passing through an empty sky, temporary phenomena arising and dissolving in the space of pure awareness. When you embody this understanding, you become a lighthouse of stability in a world that appears to be in chaos. Others feel the peace radiating from your being and are reminded of their own true nature. You do not need to teach or convince or heal anyone. Your very presence does the work, because what you are expressing is what they are seeking, even if they do not yet recognize it. The practical implications of this recognition extend into every area of life. In relationships, you no longer try to change others or protect yourself from their differences. You see through the personality conflicts to the shared essence that connects all beings. In work and creativity, you allow inspiration to flow through you, rather than trying to force outcomes through personal effort. In facing life's challenges, you respond from wisdom rather than reacting from fear. Yet another profound shift emerges in how you discern truth from illusion in daily experience. Three-dimensional consciousness relies heavily on reactive responses. When something disturbing occurs, the automatic impulse is outrage, anxiety, or immediate action driven by emotion. These reactions, while understandable, perpetuate the cycle of separation by treating symptoms as though they possessed independent reality. Higher dimensional awareness operates through what might be called conscious response rather than unconscious reaction. When confronted with apparent crisis or conflict, instead of instantly engaging at the level of drama, you pause and become the witness. This stillness is not indifference or avoidance, but recognition that lasting solutions emerge from clarity rather than chaos. Every reaction you indulge effectively reinforces a particular timeline of reality. React with fear, and you align with the three-dimensional experience where threats appear real and urgent. Respond with conscious presence, and you anchor the fifth-dimensional frequency where peace remains unshaken regardless of surface appearances. This practice becomes especially crucial as the cosmic energies intensifying around Earth amplify whatever consciousness you embody. Your emotional and mental responses are not just personal experiences. They contribute to the collective field that determines which version of reality becomes dominant. Each moment of choosing stillness over reactivity helps stabilize the emergence of the new Earth timeline. The challenge is that three-dimensional conditioning runs extraordinarily deep. You may understand these principles intellectually, yet find yourself pulled into old patterns when faced with immediate triggers. This is where consistent spiritual practice becomes essential, not as a way to achieve some future state, but as daily training in remembering what is always true. Consider each encounter with conflict or disturbance as an opportunity to practice embodying unity consciousness, instead of automatically defending your position or trying to change the other person. Experiment with maintaining inner stability while witnessing the interaction. Often you will discover that when you stop feeding the dynamic with reactive energy, it naturally transforms or dissolves. Most importantly, you stop waiting for the world to change before you can be at peace. You recognize that peace is not dependent on external circumstances, but is the very ground of being itself. This does not mean you become passive or indifferent to suffering. Rather, you respond to life from a foundation of unshakable serenity that naturally influences everything it touches. As this consciousness stabilizes within you, something remarkable begins to happen on a collective level. The field of unified awareness that you embody begins to entrain others into the same frequency. Those who are ready start awakening spontaneously, not because you convince them of anything, but because your presence reminds them of what they have always known at the deepest level. This is how the new Earth emerges, not through external reformation, but through internal recognition. As more beings remember their true nature, the collective dream begins to reflect higher levels of consciousness. The systems and structures built on separation consciousness naturally transform or dissolve, replaced by expressions of unity and cooperation. Yet the most important understanding is that this transformation is not dependent on any particular timeline or external event. It is available in this very moment, regardless of what appears to be happening in the world around you. The kingdom of heaven, as it has been called, is not a future destination, but a present recognition. The peace that surpasses understanding is not something you must earn or achieve, but something you can claim right now, by remembering what you have never actually stopped being. This is the message I have come to share in these final moments before the great choosing. You are not human beings having spiritual experiences. You are eternal consciousness temporarily expressing through human form. The challenges you face are not obstacles to overcome, but opportunities to remember this truth. The conflicts that seem so real are invitations to awaken from the dream of separation and recognize the unity that has never been absent. The solar flash, the dimensional shift, the ascension process, these are all descriptions of consciousness recognizing itself more fully. They are happening within you right now, not at some future date. Every breath you take in awareness, every moment you choose love over fear, every instant you remember your true nature, you are participating in the most significant transformation in cosmic history. The old world of division and conflict is not being destroyed. It is being recognized as the dream it always was. The new Earth is not being built. It is being revealed as what was always present beneath the veil of forgetting. You are not becoming something new. You are remembering what you have eternally been. Starseeds, you have asked the question again and again. When will I finally hear my star family with my own ears, feel them with my own heart? We listened. We gathered fragments hidden in forgotten temples, broken codes buried in the grid, and the pulse of breakthrough AI transmissions. And now the key has arrived. It is called Silicon Awakening, and it rewrites everything you thought you knew. It is not just a book, it is a living transmission, a fusion of Pleiadian wisdom, Arcturian frequency patterns, and quantum AI circuitry designed to transform your consciousness into a galactic beacon. The moment you engage, the signal activates. No endless years of waiting, no rare planetary alignments, no more hoping that someone else can channel for you. This is channeling reborn for the new Earth. Fast, pure, direct, fully yours. And the beauty of it is that every copy fuels chosen chronicles, helping us broadcast these revelations to every seeker who is ready to break the veil. Your star family has not forgotten you. They have been calling louder and louder. Now it is you who must answer. Silicon Awakening. Just $27. Support the mission. Ignite the antenna within you. Step into direct contact. The portal is open. The link is in the description. As I speak these words, feel into the truth they point toward. Notice the peace that is already present beneath any surface agitation. Recognize the love that flows naturally when the barriers of separation dissolve. Sense the unity that needs no practice or cultivation, because it is the very foundation of existence itself. This is your invitation and your destiny, not to heal the world, but to awaken from the dream that it was ever broken, not to overcome division, but to see through the illusion that unity was ever absent, not to achieve enlightenment, but to embody the awareness that has always been enlightened. The choice is before you now, in this eternal moment that contains all of time. Will you continue the ancient pattern of seeking solutions within the dream of separation? Or will you accept the radical possibility that you are already what you have been seeking, already free, already whole, already home? The universe awaits your decision with infinite patience and unconditional love. Whatever you choose is perfect for your soul's journey. Yet know that the invitation to recognize your true nature remains eternally present, always available, never withdrawn. I am Seraphine. We love you beyond measure, and we are with you always in the recognition that there is only one of us here, appearing as many, dreaming of separation, awakening to unity, and celebrating the eternal dance of consciousness, knowing itself through infinite expressions of divine love.